There we go. Let's see if y'all can see me, hear me. I feel like a song out of musical Tommy. All right. Do. All right, I still don't see my screen, so let's see if you guys up. Paul Garricky says 5x5. Robert says 5x5. Lucky Dame says 5x5, and I don't see me. Okay, I see my screen says live in 5 minutes. All right, well, you guys see me, so that's all that matters. I know what I look like. All right, guys. Well, what is this, day 6 into the insanity overseas? Yeah, if y'all noticed, I kind of stepped back a little bit today. It's March 1st, and I paid attention to what was going on, but I was planting peas outside and tilling the gardens and seeding my cucumbers and things like that. I needed to just get outside. It was a nice day, and I just wanted some time off. Check the news a few times. I go, okay, nothing that's earth-shattering that's not going to wait till this evening. So here we are. So we'll kind of touch on what's going on a little bit. If you guys did or did not see, the market got hammered today. Dow was down about 600 points. So right now it looks like we're going to see a bounce in the morning because futures are up 130, but who knows what's going to happen overnight. The interesting things is what happened with some of the commodities. Silver was up over $1 today. Was pushing 25.50. Gold was pushing 19.50. It's backed off a little bit. It's at 19.36 right now. But even then, gold is up 4 or 5% this week, and it's only Tuesday. Thereabouts. The ruble, as we all know, is trading at less than a penny right now. But the one that's important to all of us is oil prices, guys. Right now, Brent crude, $107. West Texas Intermediate, $106. Get ready. You're going to get whacked at the gas station again. We've already had 2 10-cent hikes here. One on Saturday and one on Monday. So bet you we'll see another one tomorrow. So plan on paying more for gasoline because of all this fiasco. Now, I mentioned this in this morning's video about be careful what you see. I know a lot of you guys are sending me videos and things like that, and I appreciate it. A lot of the stuff that is coming out, guys, is fake. I mean, there was somebody that put a video out yesterday showing all the fake stuff, okay? Some of it is pretty easy to tell. Like I said, those planes flying in formation, that was obvious. You're not going to fly planes in formation. Hell, you hit one plane with the Stinger or something like that. Guess what? You just took out all 6. So, some of it is kind of funny. People are putting actual videos that they're taking off of video games and saying that it's what's going on in Ukraine. So, as you're seeing some of these stories, guys, watch out for them. Now, I'm going to give you this. This is kind of interesting. The Russian government is shutting off TV stations and radio stations that do not toe the Putin line. Okay, so if any Russian radio station or TV station says, we're not for this war, they're getting shut off. Okay. On the other side of the fence, and this is where you worry about some of this stuff, the Czech Republic today said that any citizen of the Czech Republic that says something publicly supporting Putin, either online or anywhere else, can be imprisoned for up to 3 years. That's how, a lot of times we talk about, here in the States at least, I know some of you guys aren't here, but we talk about freedom of speech and things like that. Remember, not everybody in the world has the same freedoms we have, okay? And, even though a lot of these countries have become democracies or whatever, they still don't have the freedoms we have. So, you look at this, and as effed up as the United States is, still be thankful we're here, okay? Now, I want to give you an interesting story here. I told you the other day about uh, Valery Solovoy, uh, who is a political analyst in Russia or whatever, and he was talking a few days ago about Putin meeting his shaman. Just to give you an idea what that is. Remember Nancy Reagan and Gene Dixon? Okay, the astrology type thing. Same thing here is what a shaman is. Okay, some sort of witch doctor, voodoo, fortune teller, that sort of stuff. Back then he was talking about sacrificing a bear and an eagle, and that Putin was going to be king of the world and all this sort of stuff. Well, this is a story that comes out in the Daily Mail today, all right? And I know what you're going to tell me about the rags in Great Britain, okay? Yes, this is one, but I want to touch on this one. Headline story. Somebody sent this to me too. Putin moves family members to Siberian underground city designed to survive a nuclear war, says Russian professor who also claimed Vladimir is suffering from a secret illness. Now, I asked Mrs. P who this guy is. Okay, he's not, they call him a conspiracy theorist in the official channels, though he's been right on some things. But something like this, without the context of who this guy is, don't take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. Okay. Because Mrs. P and I, and you can imagine, this has been a tough week for her. I mean, I caught her today in tears. This hurts. But she's been doing research and paying attention all day long, listening to anything she can find in Russian, from primarily bloggers that she follows and things like that on what's going on in Russia, stuff that you and I aren't going to understand, so she can get it and get it to me. So she was giving me some research on the potential for nuclear war. Okay, I don't want to talk about it, but I'm going to anyway here. I guess you had somebody from the Ministry of Defense saying, oh, we could send off 500 missiles and the United States would never know what hit them. We'd obliterate the United States in a matter of hours. Mind you, 500 nuclear missiles, that's 10 a state, so we're all toast. Okay, maybe not Texas, I don't know. Maybe not Alaska. But the rest of us, yeah, we're pretty much toast. 10 nuclear missiles hitting Rhode Island, there's nothing left. Well, this is what she found out, and it is not possible to send all of them at the same time. They have missiles that go over the Atlantic, missiles that go over the Pacific, aimed at the United States. They can literally only shoot one at a time, because if they shoot more, when the first one explodes, it'll detonate the second one. So they need to wait for one to hit before they can send, there's got to be a staggered to it. So we would have some notification. Obviously, if something hits, New York and Washington, D.C. are going to be first targets or whatever it would be. So I'm not, that would give me a little bit of time to, who knows, get the dogs in the house and kiss my wife, but, it's not, what I'm saying is don't let some of these stories where the sensationalism just completely goes over the top. But that's kind of, what's going on today. Putin's in the doghouse. He'll never come out at this point. I guess now the World Court of the EU is going to investigate him for war crimes. All right, and if they find him guilty of war crimes, Putin's never coming out of a bunker again. Otherwise, tribunal and poof, Guantanamo for, or the equivalent, whatever would be. Think of Nuremberg. But that's kind of where we are at this point. So, the only thing that I still worry about, like I said, cornered animal. I talked about that a month or so ago. If he figures he's got nothing to lose, what happens? Because one of the Russian ministers did come out and say, what's the purpose of having a world if there's no Russia in it? Well, that's a scary phrase right there. So we just kind of go on day by day. But, guys, same thing. Step away. Go do something to get your mind away from this. You got to, because crossing fingers and pray to God, that this all eventually ends and we don't have any catastrophes, at least outside of Ukraine, because Ukraine's already a catastrophe. You don't get these days back. So make sure you are enjoying life and making these days productive while you can. I mean, I know it's very easy to get caught up for 14, 16 hours just watching videos, reading stories, watching TV, whatever, about what's going on. The next thing you know, that day is gone. You don't ever get it back. So that was kind of where I wanted to start tonight. Just everybody, let's chill a little bit here. If you want some comedy tonight, hey, by the time we're done, the clown show comes on at 9:00 where Biden's supposed to talk about climate change, the great economy, and reviving Build Back Better. Because those are the things that are on people's minds today. Guy's a freaking moron. And I'm sorry for insulting morons. Okay, well, good evening to everybody, and especially all my moderators, Jacob, Robert, Lorna, North Shore, and Lucky Dame. Thank you for, again, being here. Like clockwork, you guys never fail me, and I do appreciate that. So, for those of you that are new here, we do Q&A on Tuesdays and Saturdays. This is the chance to talk about what's on your mind, not on mine. So what we do here is, like every other YouTube channel, if you got a question for me, please put it in all caps. As I say all the time, please feel free to have conversations amongst yourselves. I don't have all the answers, but I can pretty much bet somebody in this chat room has the answer to the question you're looking for. Okay, so if you ask a question, a lot of people reading all the chat, figuring out what's going on there too, you'll find answers. I don't know it all. I learn so many different things from you guys. It's unbelievable. Okay, that's kind of the reason for the whole community here, is to share information. What I do ask everybody, please keep it PG-13. We have a standing rule around here that we don't take any crap from people. There's no name calling, no being rude, no obnoxiousness, anything like that. That gets you a boot. We don't do 300-second timeouts here. We just toss you. Okay, this is pretty much family oriented. We are all very polite to each other, nice. Disagreement is fine as long as you do it politely. I mean, I don't expect anybody to agree with me 100% of the time. Okay, I don't agree with anybody 100% of the time. My wife and I don't agree with each other all the time. Okay, that's fine. Disagreement's fine. Just be polite with your disagreement, make your point, move on. Okay, no arguments, no fighting, no nothing like that. Please also keep the chat room, like I said, PG-13. Your teenagers have probably heard some of the language I'll use every once in a blue moon. Your 6-year-old probably doesn't need to be in a room. Okay. But that being said, no topic is off limits. We'll talk about anything that you guys want to talk about except the taboo subjects from YouTube. Nothing about climate change, nothing about the 2020 election, and nothing about the ingredients to the vaccine. Okay. Other than that, everything's fair game. Like I said, you guys want to talk about politics, you want to talk about Russia, you want to talk about economics, gardening, movies, rock and roll, whatever would be, that's fine. Whatever's on your guys' mind will go there. Some questions are real short answers. Some I may go off for 4 minutes on. So it's up to you guys. I'll get through as many questions as I can. If there's 1,400 of you guys in here right now. There's one of me. So I try to go through them as quick as I can with giving a solid answer I'm not bullshitting anybody. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. But, if I haven't answered your question in 5 or 10 minutes, please post it again. If I see it a second time, I'll just skip it. No harm, no foul. So, okay, with that being said, let's go to the top, or as far as top as I can get to, and let's see where we have. So, oh, I know. I saw beforehand a couple of people were talking about my email address. Guys, my email address is fine. It's pinballpreparedness@protonmail.com. Make sure you spelled it right. I see people spell it wrong, so it didn't go through. Okay, my email works fine. So if you're having problems, it's not on my end. Okay. Diana B, how's Mrs. P's family in Russia doing? As far as we know, fine. They're all up in Moscow. I mean, obviously, economically, this isn't fun for anybody. Double D Homestead, thank you for your super chat. No, I don't get questioned at the grocery, so that's small towns. But now, Mrs. P's family, as far as we know, is dealing with this as best they can. I mean, they're not down in Rostov or somewhere near the border or whatever. They're all in Moscow. So not happy, of course, but it's not like they're worried about bombs hitting the building or something. Do. Ruth Cochran says an executive order blocking property of certain persons and prohibiting certain transactions with respect to continued Russian efforts to undermine the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. Okay. Nothing to say about it. Fact. Let's see. Mountaintop Preps going with the high and tight. This isn't a high and tight. This is nothing close to a high and tight. High and tight is shaved on the sides, and I've got basically that much hair. So, no, not anywhere close. Or high and tight all through the military, though, because it looked better than an Army haircut. So most of us had Marine cuts. Charles Goki, thank you for the super chat. Do I know what, if any, kind of warning we may get for incoming nuclear bombs? If something's detected, you can imagine every tornado siren, whatever, is going to go off. You're going to have everybody's phone is going to blow up in a heartbeat. I mean, I know once a week or so I get something for, an Amber Alert on my phone for something that's in Virginia, Kentucky, or Tennessee. You'd have something, some notification. The timing of how long, who knows, because obviously something that's submarine launched from, off the East Coast somewhere isn't going to take squat for time. Something that's coming from, Russia itself and was going over the North Pole or whatever, that's going to take a little bit longer. But then you throw in this whole supersonic missile that Russia has, and, hardly anybody knows any of the capabilities, certainly not me. So, yeah, we'd have some sort of warning. I mean, it could be a couple of minutes, guys, depending on where you are. Like I said, you can pretty much guarantee New York and Washington, D.C. are target one. So if something goes off, you aren't getting out of New York City. It's just, kiss your wife, kiss your boyfriend, kiss your dog, and say goodbye. I'm sorry if that sounds cold. That's just reality. John Poole, New York City was worried over a dirty bomb a few days ago, per Angry Prepper. I saw that. I saw Jason's video, too, that the Hasidic Jews were supposedly going to be going up to upstate New York, but nobody moved up there as of yet from intel that he has. I haven't heard anything on it lately. It's, a dirty bomb, if you think about it, that's more of a terrorists type thing, not a superpower, not a nuclear nation. The last thing Russia's worried about doing is setting something off in the subway. They're going, screw it, we're just going to take out all of New York City. So, yeah, that would be more, a Middle East type deal rather than anything here. I mean, I know we're talking about this, and I promise you guys, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to inform you on all this. I'm hoping to God that everybody's right and this is not coming, but it's good to talk about it at least so we have an idea. Elizabeth J., what brand grow lights do I like? I actually built my own, okay, because the money that you spend on some of these grow lights is sick. And depending on what you're going to do with them. I did a video last year, if you're looking it up, I think it's called Let There Be Light. But I just bought the appropriate, they look like fluorescent tubes, but they're not, they're LEDs, but with the appropriate lumens and the appropriate wattage. And then I built the frame out of some 2x3s for it, and it works fine. Now, they're all white lights. They are not your infrared and ultraviolet and everything. I couldn't use them to grow to fruition inside. It doesn't have the full spectrum of lights. For growing my seedlings, it's fine. But, if I'm trying to grow food in a house or something like that, those aren't the right ones. But the brand, I think, is Barrina, Barrina. And, I'm working on 3 years with these things. They work perfect. So, and they're not that expensive. I think it was $40 for 6 of them or something like that. And, so that gets me a, 4-foot by 5-foot light panel. So I've got 3 of them. And with the peas I had, I was using every bit of them. Morning Light. Do I think the Russian generals may have Putin locked up? I doubt it, because if that was the case, they'd already be withdrawing. And when you've got this 40-mile long convoy sitting, waiting for orders to go in, that would be, if anybody was going to do a coup, is what you're basically calling there. If the coup had already happened, they'd already be pulling the troops back, because obviously the reason for the coup is because it's anti what Putin is doing. Cushnet Prepper, have I heard that Putin put out orders that if he is killed or cornered, he will go nuke crazy? No, I haven't heard that. Again, and I don't know how the nuclear football, if you will, in the Kremlin works. Okay, it's, everybody always talks about the red button, but it's not like Joe's got the button. Thank God. He has the nuclear codes that he has to give to whoever is at the launch sites. And, then the stuff that you see in the movies, 2 keys and everything like that, that stuff's all accurate. So hopefully Russia's pretty much similar that, I've got to think they are. So you don't have one rogue person go, you know what? I'm pissed at the wife today. Screw it. I'm blowing up the United States. Tick, so yeah, I got to think it's the same thing. It depends on what the military wants. If Putin's killed, the military may say, we don't want anything to do with this. Because remember, a lot of them, the only reason they follow orders because, just like what Putin does to his political opponents. Imagine what he'd do to his military opponents. Bees Nuts. Do you prep Fallout PPE? If so, what do you recommend getting? Well, potassium iodide for sure. Okay, that's not that expensive. You can get it on Amazon. It's under $20. Sometimes you can get it even cheaper than that. But make sure you get something that's good. Try to avoid the ones that are made in China. You get sugar pills for all I know. And we were talking about this. I was up with Mr. and Mrs. Mountaintop Prepper on Sunday night, and we were discussing, what would you do? Depending on where you are, and I've got to think, where we were talking about where we are, I'm not in a primary strike zone. Okay? There's not a big red X on Sharps Chapel. So, if something hit New York, whatever, the first thing I would be doing is sealing doors and windows, air vents and everything, so thick plastic and, T-Rex tape or Gorilla tape, good duct tape, not the cheap stuff. And, or even something along the lines of, that plastic that you put over your windows that seals the drafts out, and you go over with a hairdryer to tighten it up. Those are the types of things you want. And you need to hit air vents, windows, doors. You need to seal the house as best you can and stay in the house for 2 weeks. Okay. And I know it sucks. Yeah, I got dogs. All right. Dogs ain't going outside for 2 weeks. That means the dog's shitting in the house. Okay. I'm not opening the door. Okay, not just because the dog goes outside, but stuff go in the door too. If you were stuck in the car or something like that, obviously get to wherever you can as quick as you can. Get undressed outside. Okay, trust me, if a nuclear strike, nobody's going to care if you're naked on your front porch for 30 seconds. I don't think they're going to put you on the sexual predator list for getting contaminated clothing off before you go inside. And then shower with cold water, lots of cold water, no soap, just cold water over and over. You do not want to open your pores or anything like that. You want to rinse everything off of you. Okay, that's why cold water. Fallout PPE. If you wanted to go find yourself a MOP suit, MOPP, Mission Oriented Protective Posture is what it stands for. The old chemical suits that we had when we were in the Army. Good luck finding one that's in any good shape. But, again, that's only if you're going to be outside. Could you go get a Geiger counter if you want? Yeah. Okay. But, do you know how to use it? It's not like you can really practice with it. As for a gas mask, if you're going to buy one, I was reading something yesterday where somebody says, oh, don't worry about, buying one of these expensive ones. Just get yourself an N95 mask or something like that. I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. That's sure. Okay. No, you want to find yourself a good quality gas mask, but make sure it's NBC rated, nuclear, biological, and chemical. Okay. Don't just get yourself a mask that's going to be good to keep pepper spray or CS gas off or anything like that. I mean, if it's, chemical warfare or nuclear or something like that, so you're not breathing all that stuff, spend the money. A decent mask will cost you about $300. But that, what I would say, a mask is a maybe, but plastic sheathing and duct tape is an absolute must. CB, did I hear about the armed shooter at the Hanford nuclear site in Washington State today? Seemed a little sketchy. Yeah, what I saw about it was there was a report that there were shots fired. The cops went and then could never find a shooter or never find any evidence that there was a shooter. If there were shots fired, the bullets got to go somewhere, so there's going to be holes in a wall somewhere. They couldn't find any. So who knows if it was, somebody that didn't want to work today. Hey, pulling the fire alarm worked when I was a kid. Let's call it an active shooter when I'm an adult. Don't think somebody hasn't thought of that. All right. Oops, shot to the bottom there. So I saw somebody said who won the EcoFlow. That was Norman Chapman. He did claim it. Joseph Miele, any truth to Fauci being arrested? I haven't heard anything on it. I mean, that would be all over the place if it was. So I'm betting that's more wishful thinking. Angela, is there an alternative way to compost without attracting wildlife? I live up near the Rockies in Colorado, and we have bears, mountain lions, moose, all types of animals. I'd like to see if it's possible. In that case, what you might want to do, well, okay, there's a couple of things you can do. First off, depends on what you compost. If you got those kinds of issues, then don't compost kitchen scraps. Leaves, for your brown materials, leaves, paper, newspaper, cardboard, anything like that, that's fine. For your greens, just stick to weeds and grass clippings. I don't see, bears and mountain lions aren't going to be going after that. When you start throwing in the carrots and that sort of stuff, sure, they're going to go after that. So that would be the first thing I'd say, is leave out the food scraps. The second option would be to get one of those tumblers, which can be a couple of $100. But if you've got bears just going to rip open the tumbler, and then you've got a huge mess. My suggestion would be just leave out the food scraps. Dana Nefsey, what is a cheaper way to make a Faraday cage? Okay, so the best cheap way I have heard is to take something that is metal, whether it's a metal trash can or an ammo can or whatever it is, and completely line the inside of it, every single spot, so there's not anywhere metal showing, okay, with cardboard. What I would probably say at that point, to be doubly safe, line the outside, line the inside, the underside of the lid, everything like that with cardboard. And again, guys, it's one of these things where it's not like you can really test it. It's people have said, oh, this is what works. So you put it together, and if an EMP does go off and it doesn't work, I don't know what to tell you. Even the Faraday cages that you can buy on Amazon or wherever, who knows if they're a hoax? You don't. So, somebody could sell you whatever. Will tell you this: a microwave oven is not a Faraday cage. That will not work. But the the cheapest thing that I've heard that supposedly works is lining a metal container completely with cardboard. That's what I got. And no, I don't have any because I nothing's plugged in, and so if it fries stuff that's not plugged in, okay, then I'm SOL. But I think Faraday cages happen to be a whole lot of science fiction more than a whole lot of science. That's just me. Feel free to disagree with me. What's a good gas mask? Okay, I will tell you this because I just bought 2 of them. Go to Mira Safety, MIRA Safety, and their CM-7M is their military grade CBRN protection. Okay. I don't know if I can, hang on, let me see if I can do that real quick. Wrong link. Bear with me. Hold on. I'll put the link in here for you. Did that work? Nope, just put CBRN. Let's try that again. All right, there's the link, guys. Okay, back to where we were. Let's see. Yeah, prepper. Okay, we're going to do this over and over and over again. Have they changed the DEFCON level? Hillary said it'll take 10 minutes to launch a nuke. Okay, first off, I don't care what Hillary says, okay? Hillary doesn't have a freaking clue. Second off, change the DEFCON. Maybe, I will say this, I've said this a million times, not one single civilian outside the Pentagon or the White House knows the DEFCON level. None, okay? That is it. Military will know that it is a highly classified piece of information. Everybody says, oh, I went to this website and they said we're at DEFCON 2. Okay, what's the web? DEFCON.com? Gee, let me see if I got this. First off, government websites are .gov, okay? And you think it might be something a little bit more than DEFCON.com. Every single one of those, without a doubt, is fraud. Period. It is all fear porn. There is nobody that knows the DEFCON level. If you have somebody in the Pentagon who tells his wife, mistress, dog, whatever it is, that is violation of state secrets, his security clearance, jail time in Leavenworth. Yeah, no. Okay. Nobody knows the DEFCON level. Not even Hillary. It's one of those things that just pisses me off because it's over and over and over. You have all these fear porn channels talking about that and they don't know. They're full of shit. Bitter critter. Mr. Pinball, imagine if the button had ice cream on it. Or Desitin. Blasphemous gaming. Joe would confuse the red button with his link to life button. I don't think his link to life button's worked a couple of years. I mean, Obama's just got his hand up his ass, moving his mouth. Let's see, where are we? Double D Homestead. My property is close to Fort Knox. I don't think Fort Knox is on the top 10 hit list, if you will. I did a video about a year ago with what the top 10 targets were. Foggy Mountain says, let's not forget Afghanistan, prayers for the families. Yes, that's a good point. There's still Americans stuck there. Yeah, it was an interesting one there was a story I saw. Russians stuck all over the world. Okay. If anybody didn't catch this, the EU was now kicking Russian students out of college, uh, sending them back to Russia, and they can't get there because the airspace is all closed. Because none of the airlines are allowed to fly into Russia, so the people can't even get home. Again, didn't think past here. What's going to happen with all those people who aren't home at the moment? Oh, they're screwed. Gee, now what? Well, your visa's expired, so you're in violation of being in the United States or whatever, but I can't go home. Not my problem. Get a boat and start rowing. God. For the doggies guitars, hi Pinball. Best advice to grow a garden in the desert. We have orange trees and lemon trees already. Okay, so I grew a successful garden in Las Vegas. Okay, I mean, in the summer that it got up to 117 degrees. I had no problem growing cherry tomatoes. I had certainly no problem growing peppers. We grew eggplant great. It's just, you're going to be growing different foods, okay, and at different times. If you wanted to grow peas, you probably had to plant those around Christmas. It's, you have cold season, and you have hot season. You're not going to grow in the dead of summer, okay? This right now, I don't know what the temperature is in Vegas right now. It's probably in the 70s or something like that. You're already to the point where you'd be getting peppers and stuff. I remember planting outside in Vegas. Mrs. P and I were planting tomatoes and peppers in January because that was when the temperatures were right. Water, of course, always becomes the issue. So, now you have to figure out your water situation. But, again, I did the video on the buckets and everything like that. So you can kind of do that. However, you can collect water. It doesn't rain that much. So, maybe you're using municipal water, which gets a little expensive. But it can be done. North Shore, what are you doing sending me a super chat? Take that back. Okay. Puddles, I just got some IOSat from Amazon last week. Expiration was 2030. Okay. I was under the impression they're only good for a year. Okay. They got stuff that's for 8 years. Cool. Jared Stemmerding, if able, are you going to hold another family reunion this year? At this point, there's no way I could even say. I mean, Travis over at the Prepared Homestead got with me about they're doing an annual get together there in central Missouri, mid-May, and asked me if I would come and be a speaker. And this was yesterday. And I emailed him back. I'm like, dude, I said, we have no idea what the world's going to look like. I can't make plans for next week. I certainly can't make plans for 3 months from now. So, yeah, there's no way I can even answer that at this point. I mean, who knows? Richard Colson, news being censored in Russia and Czech, no different than Facebook or Trudeau controlling left. True. Yeah. Though the thing is this, there's a big difference between Facebook jail and real jail. So there's the thing. And if I get a strike on YouTube, I don't go to jail for up to 3 years. 2 weeks is long enough. Ann Smith, Life Extension has potassium iodide pills for $5 a bottle. Okay. I've never heard of them. So if they've got them, there's your guy, there's your place, guys. Life Extension, that's cheap. I've never seen them for $5 a bottle. May G, my mag is missing medical support. What resources are available to learn those skills? Contact your local fire department, see if they offer EMT classes. Sometimes they will. It depends on where you live. I mean, where I am, no, it's too small. But I mean, if you're in a suburb or something like that, sometimes they'll have medical classes on a weekend or whatever. Contact the Red Cross. you could always go take some of these courses that are offered at community colleges. Patriot Nurse does them online. So, there's a lot of different ways that you can look around that, just get creative, call the local community college. That'd be a good place to start. Call the local hospital, start there. Just ask questions. Worst they can tell you is they don't know. They may point you in the right direction, save you a ton of legwork. Bitter critter, training and mop sucked. Want to tell me majority of my time was at Fort Huachuca, Arizona, and Fort Bliss, Texas. I was in the freaking desert. Oh yeah, we get to go to Mop 4 for the afternoon. Woohoo! It's 106 degrees outside, and I'm in a mop suit. Thanks. Never had us in mop gear when we were, in the middle of winter. It was always July. It's like, thanks, Sergeant Major. Carla Palmer, Mr. P, can you grow zucchini in a 5-gallon bucket? Sure. Yeah, no problem. It will definitely get bigger than the bucket, certainly. But yeah, no problem growing it in there. It'll all just, because when a zucchini grows, everything the fruit comes out right near the stem there. So it'll all be supported by the bucket. The leaves will be what cascades over the end. Rusty Shackelford, an NBC mask filter will not stop bleach. Okay, well, hopefully nobody hits me with a bleach bomb. CB, okay, I'm assuming you're talking about the Washington deal, the nuclear plant. They did find a rifle in a car. Okay, was it legal, illegal? I mean, hey, when I walk into the post office here, I go into the bank, I've got to keep my sidearm in the car. I mean, I am not walking into a bank. I don't care that I've got my CCW. I am not walking into a bank with a weapon on me. It's just not happening. Michael Holtzman, hi Pinball. Why'd the bonds drop so low today? Banks got hammered because you have, the financial industry has a lot of investment in Russia. And so if Russia, Russia now says they can't, you can't expatriate money from Russia. So that's going to wind up a loss. If you saw, Ukraine is asking the world to write off all of its national debt because of all of this. So the banks are getting hammered right now because of this whole Ukraine thing. And, the whole debt cycle and everything is completely messed up because of the sanctions. Deb 78, it's potassium iodide pills. That's what I said. Jason, what's a good body armor brand? Crap, I can't even remember what mine are. The only thing I will say with body armor, you have to get at least level 3, if not level 3 plus. Okay, you're not going out and playing paintball or airsoft or something like that. You want something that's going to stop a 5.56 or 7.62 round, because that's most commonly the rifle round that's going to be fired at you. Okay, you're not finding one that's going to stop a 50 cal. I'm sorry. Somebody comes at you with a 50 cal, it just say bye-bye. But yeah, often I can't think of the brand that I've got of mine, but I've had it for years. So, yeah, just more importantly, look for, if you can afford the carbon. I can't think of what it's. My brain is fried. I mean, I've got the steel plates and they're heavy. Okay, if carbon fiber, if you can afford the carbon fiber stuff, hey, go for it. But that's a little out of everybody's, well, at least out of my budget. But look for level 3 at a minimum, level 3 plus. If you can want level 4, go for it. Cynthia, I live very near an Air Force base. Should I consider moving further away from it? Depends on the Air Force base. Okay. Uh, and what they do there. The further I'm a believer in the further away from civilization you are, the better you are. But some people's work doesn't allow it. Some place. I look at when I was down in Vegas. It's like, okay, we had the Air Force base there, but once you left there, you were driving hours. What was it? 2 hours or an hour to Mesquite going east. And if you were going up to Elko, that was 5 hours. If you were going up to Carson City, that was 5 or 6 hours, and you're just in the middle of nowhere. So, you really couldn't move away from it because there wasn't anything there unless you wanted to be a completely off grid or out in the middle of the desert. Again, that's a personal choice. I wanted to be away from civilization within reason, but that's me. Deb78, how do we save our farm animals? You need to be a little more specific. From what? From a nuclear war, you're not going to. Okay. From conventional warfare, the animals are on their own. You do it. There's not a whole lot you can do with farm animals. It's like, if it's a matter of saving your sheep or saving yourself, I'm hoping you're saying, the hell with the sheep. I'm getting my ass out of here. Gina M. Okay, I got to skip that comment there. That one might get me in trouble. I saw it. Big German Prepared. Have I ever grown asparagus? Yes, actually, I grew it from seed last year, and we planted a whole bunch of asparagus plants. They all came by the end of the year. I mean, this shocked the hell out of me. There was actually one real skinny spear of asparagus by the end of the year, which you're not supposed to get asparagus for till probably year 3. But we were able to successfully grow it from seed. I want to say, I think it was Martha Washington or George Washington or something like that was the stuff we grew. And it grew. We'll see if it comes back this year. It should. But yeah, we have. The only thing, as nice as asparagus is, it's not really I like asparagus, but it's not a highly productive crop. So it's probably, if I had to do it all over again, probably not. It takes up garden space for something that's not going to give me a lot of food. Trent McMurray, microwave oven is a perfect Faraday cage. No, it's not. It does not work at all. That has been proven. Deb78, put an AM radio in your homemade cage to test it. How? Okay. You can't test whether an electromagnetic pulse went off and fried the innards of the battery. It's like, could you do me a favor, please, and put a tiny nuke over my house? There's no way to test it. That's the problem. Now for you and me, I mean, what's the company? EMP Shield. They have the government contracts and everything like that where they can test things like that. They're not going to go test cardboard in a trash can. They're not going to go test, a cell phone in a microwave oven. Okay, they're testing their product to see if their product works. So yeah, that is testable. But for the DIYer, there's no way to test it. A couple of you guys said you can use lead for an EMP. Take all the bullets out of all the cartridge, all the casings, and I'll melt it all down, or fishing lures or something like that, and make a box. I guess you could, but oops. Okay, here we go. Shot to the bottom. Do 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 do. Okay. Redheaded Trouble. My mom wants to know where you got the name Pinball. It was my call sign when I was in the Army. So, radio. South Colorado Stetter. I'm surprised Microsoft stopped the wiper malware. Google's been helping Ukraine also. That's good. Okay. I haven't heard anything on that, but thank you for sharing that. Susan Hojdik, or Hoydick, what's your opinion on the phony videos being shown about the situation over in Ukraine? Okay. Mrs. P and I were talking about this over dinner. First off, remember a couple of things, okay? Putin's ex-KGB and propaganda coming out of the Soviet Union we all grew up with all the propaganda, okay? Not that the U.S. didn't have plenty of propaganda too, okay? You know, all the black and white pictures with everybody wore gray clothing and their babushka, and that was it. You know, yeah, there was plenty of propaganda. But then remember that Ukraine is a former Soviet republic. So these two countries are experts at propaganda, putting things out. I mean, I've heard anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000 Russian soldiers have been killed in all of this, but 120 Ukrainians. Do I believe either one of those figures? Not by a long shot, okay? You know, if it'd be kind of funny that, you know, artillery and gunships and fighter pilots can't manage to take out any Ukrainian citizens, but a bunch of Ukrainian citizens with weapons that they've never used before have managed to kill 3,000 to 6,000 Russian troops. Okay, so this doesn't make sense. But the other part you get to this is the internet, which, and I've said this many times about YouTube and stuff and the media and everything, clicks, fraud. Okay. There's plenty of people that are like, oh, you've got to help us save the children. Please donate to this charity, whatever. And sure enough, it's, you know, fraud. And you're sending your money to some guy in, you know, Bangladesh somewhere who's, you know, defrauding people, saying it's money for Ukraine. They'll never see it. Okay. And then there's other ones that, you know, YouTubers and Twitters and TikTokers and everything like that. Oh, gee, I can make this video up and it'll go viral and I'll get a whole lot of clicks. There's a lot of that too. Okay. So, you know, this is not only do we have the propaganda coming out of the governments, but we have the propaganda coming out of the rest of the world for selfish reasons or for scams. So, yeah, personally, it's getting harder and harder and harder to believe any of it because the mainstream media has been fooled. I told you guys about the picture of the woman with the bandage over the side of her face that was like on every newspaper and website and everything like that. The picture's a few years old, okay? Not even this more, okay? It's a stock picture that you can buy off of Shutterstock or something like that. But, you know, this is what I talk about verifying. One place writes something, and then everybody else writes something using that first article as its source. I mean, I told you about the Daily Mail article at the top of the show. You know, how many people are going to follow up on that one? And you'll see in the news tomorrow, Putin's family's all in Siberia. You know, there were the stories on Russia has put every nuclear submarine out to sea. That was in the Greek press. I can't confirm that by anybody else. You know, I personally, before I bring something to you guys, and I still screw it up sometimes, I try to find 3 sources for something. Sometimes I only find 2 if it's pretty obvious it's true. But I try to find 3, verify whatever I give you guys with 3. And sometimes what do I find? 3 sources that all verified amongst themselves and they were all wrong, and I get it wrong too. I try not to, but I'm not perfect. Pinball, what size gas generator do you have to charge your Delta? Is a Honda 2000 big enough? Probably it just might take longer. I can't tell you. I've got a 4500 that I haven't tried to charge the generator yet, but I mean, I can run anything in the house with it. So, one of those little hand portable ones, which is probably what the 2000 is, it'll charge it. It just might not do it as quick. It depends on what output it has. The Heady Time Traveler, what happened to all the lot lizards? I don't know, we're talking about the truckers convoy. I saw the truckers convoy is now 7,000 vehicles long. So that was kind of cool. But other than that, I don't know about what you're talking about, lot lizards. I mean, there's an old 70s term for women hanging out at the truck stops, but Jenny Kidwell, question: what is a MAG? A mutual assistance group. It is your tribe. It is the group of people that you are going to count on for your survival in any SHTF. Paul Garricky, thank you for the super chat. Maybe the Russians will hack into Potato's teleprompter. Why bother? I mean, the interesting is, how many times is Joe going to put his foot in his mouth tonight? Call Kamala Harris president again, or who knows? They better tell him, you read exactly what's on that teleprompter, you don't say a single word differently, and he'll still screw it up. Rooster Pinball, I'd send you a super chat, got held by a squirrel with acorns. I'm assuming held up by a squirrel that robbed you blind. There you go. I'll send my dog. Aquaseek and missing the potato speech. Pinball, keep talking. I want to go see Joe's speech. I figure it's going to give me plenty of fodder for tomorrow anyway. But I need to know what he's talking about, because I'll get dozens of questions tomorrow. So I need to know. Undead, thank you for super chat. Buy a gallon. Yeah, pretty much $10. Well, I'm about buy me a gallon of gas. By the time YouTube takes their cut, yeah, it's about a little bit more than a gallon of gas. Sweet savory words. Pinball, do you think farmers can use our coffee grounds, banana peels, and eggshells? That would be such a massive amount. I mean, I had to give you this, and you saw the video the other day where I was sprinkling it out there. I sprinkled out a full gallon, 2 half-gallon jars of the coffee ground eggshell banana peel mix on my 40 by 24 garden. That was it. And that probably took me a month and a half to collect all that, 2 months. I mean, you're now talking that farmers need to have, every Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, and every coffee shop in the county they live in giving them all their coffee, every breakfast place saving all their eggshells or whatever it is, and, a monkey factory or something like that worth of bananas. Who knows? It's good for gardening. It's not going to be good on an agricultural level. I mean, the interesting part was, what would actually be better is the urine that they could probably get enough of and turn it into liquid fertilizer, because it was like today when I put my peas in, what did I do? I hooked up my little contraption and filled it up with pee and hit it all with nitrogen. So, all right, 8:58. South Colorado Setter, any idea what will happen to American mercs if caught by Russian? They'll be tried and hung. Okay, that's almost goes without saying. A Cushnet prepper, is food edible after a nuclear attack? Not something that you grown, okay, but stuff that you, again, if you sealed off your house and everything, anything that you stored in the house, yeah, it's going to be fine. Carla Palmer says, tell Mrs. P I'm sending up prayers for her friends and family. Thank you very much. One more, if I can find one. Or Fox's body armor is way too heavy. Mobility is more important than that. And I'll agree with you there. Okay. For my situation, because I don't need to have the mobility, it's basically protecting the house body armor will work. May J, thank you for the super chat, or May G, I'm sorry, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Robert Bates, there you go. That's a good way to end this. AC/DC, Highway to Hell. That's pretty much. All right, guys, that is a 9 o'clock. Let's go see what the potato has to say this evening. Have a good one, y'all. We'll talk to you in the morning. Pinball out.